All right. Well, you've got quite an audience here today.
Yes, we do. We're down here at the Green Festival, representing, us as a low-powered FM radio station that also is heavily promoting green light and promoting that we protect the environment. That's one of our mantras at We Are Radio. We even have our own garden in the back of our radio station as well.
Oh, wow.
Yes, indeed. So that we're not just speaking it; we're actually living it. So yeah, we have a lot of different programs talking about a variety of different things. My show is called the Love Lounge Radio Show. I'm DJ One Love, and my show is to discuss issues in the Black community, a variety of issues dealing from education, entertainment, politics, religion, labor, law, race, everything. So anything that's affecting the Black community, whether it be locally, domestically in the United States, or internationally in the Caribbean, or in the continent of Africa, or UK, or anywhere else where Black people are stepping on the ground and have issues, we talk about that. I also have a couple of other people. Brother D-Moss.
That's what I don't even want to deal with it. It's like
Wow, he's got a certain sense of style about him.
As you can
Good
see,
to meet you.
Extremely stylish.
I see that, man. I'm like, really impressed with your look. That's who is your favorite brand, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't really have a favorite brand. I dress by mood. However I feel that day. It's a color or something like that. That probably what gets me.
Hold this for a second. I want to make sure we represent this right here. We go. There we go. You got the tie. You look beautiful, man. Thank you. Your pops would really be proud of you to see that look you got.
Thank you. So where are you shooting content for today?
Well, I do a program called Urban Revival Media, so it's really about interesting people like yourself, entrepreneurs that I find in DC, hopefully with an environmental consciousness, which is what this is about as well. And if I could find a guy who's a style maven, like you two, I mean, you guys are representing. You got the athletic casual wear here. Yeah, you got it. You're working in Pumas. I see that. I see all that. He's a fitness trainer, I can tell. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Takes one to recognize one, right?
Yep. That's right.
Tell them a little bit about your show, brother.
Well, my show is the D-Moss Show, and we stay on the politically incorrect end of the spectrum.
Incorrect.
Politically incorrect.
Oh, okay. Well, when do you get incorrect? I mean, what topics can you get incorrect about?
Oh, wow. There's so many different topics. We've spoken on everything from should one vaccinate their children? What is the best way to end racism or to make the biggest step forward in ending racism? I personally think it would be repealing laws that are simply racist, like repealing some of the drug policy that would free up.
You think that would work?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the biggest problem in the country today is poor legal policy. That's the biggest issue, bar none. Nothing else will trump that. Because if you look at any system or if you look at any injustice, it's going to have a root in some policy that needs to be changed.
Okay, so how do you feel about reconsidering now the liberal marijuana laws as far as letting people obviously enjoy marijuana openly? We're allowing that now here in the District of Columbia. I'm sure you talk about that.
I've got no issues with it. I've done several shows on the whole marijuana issue, marijuana debate, but I like to approach it from this standpoint. The debate is just ridiculous. When I hear a Republican politician state that alcohol and marijuana are equally as harmful, when I hear heroin and cocaine being placed on the same schedule as marijuana, that's a big issue.
Okay.
But the biggest issue, I think, is individuals of color being locked up. That's the biggest issue. Folks, in Louisiana, I've heard of stories where a gentleman has had a gram or two of marijuana in his pocket, gets locked up. Gets locked up again with the joint in his ashtray. Gets locked up.
Okay, but what about extreme examples where people are egregiously stepping over the boundaries of our laws and so on?
Let me talk about that with the marijuana, because he's right about this, talking about the legal ramifications of it. So, for example, in Washington, D.C., you have 7 districts, you have 8 wards, okay? And within those 8 wards, you have 3 wards that were targeted the most, which were wards 5, 7, and 8, which are predominantly black. And all the wards combined, they confiscated about 20,000 grams of marijuana in the year 2010. But
Who was that?
the police, the Metropolitan Police. But over in District 2, which is basically the upper northwest side of Washington, D.C., which is majority white and majority wealthy, they confiscated over 23,000 grams in that one district alone, which trumped all the other districts combined. But they put all the emphasis of tactics in targeting in the poor communities. And when I say poor, I say the black communities, okay? Ward 7 and 8 in particular, or Southeast D.C., where they target all the young black males. And like D-Mark just said, you find little things like a little joint or something, less than $1,000. But if you go over on Wisconsin Avenue and Georgetown and up in that area towards Bethesda, you'll find that they're selling thousands of grams.
Okay.
Pounds of
Let me ask you a question. I do have a question, though. We do live in a predominantly black, even though there's some gentrification that's going on, still live in what's considered to be a predominantly black city. And that also includes law enforcement. There's quite a few black law enforcement people here, including our Attorney General and Ron Muchin, who's now leaving. But so when people say, well, what are you complaining about? Because some of these
so to answer that, the question is, who is paying them? Who is funding their campaigns? And that's the issue right there, because it still goes back to the lawmakers who were telling us to target these black communities, but we're constantly finding that the majority of the drugs are in the white community. But the lawmakers are putting hard sentences on the black community. So like you have there was no other law that locked up more black men in America in the last 20 years than the marijuana law.
Okay, so how do you get around that besides the law? Understanding how the law works, avoiding the circumstances in addition to trying to change the laws.
Well, we have to change the way that the perception, first of all, we have to change. We have to police the police, because we have a brother named Matthew Fogg that has been on our radio station, who was a former deputy marshal, who has tried to tell people that they're targeting only black people. So we got to start getting on the police to say, you got to go after the criminals that have the most impact. Going after these street guys, that they call thugs and everything, they really don't have any impact on the community. I mean, you got to go to the source of a problem. Where is all this stuff coming from?
Okay, but I want to ask you a good question.
Yes.
Would you consider having, now we realize you're African-American station, you're going to be leaning left.
We're not an African-American station.
Okay, but
we're a true station that has a lot of African-Americans that have ownership in it.
But I'm going to ask you a question, though. Would you consider having opposing points of view?
Absolutely.
Always.
Rational opposing points of view.
Absolutely. You have to.
Because it seems like the Tea Party would never come to the same venue where the Democratic Party would live, and say we don't get a chance to discuss.
That's not necessarily true. I've had some conservatives and progressives on my show, and I completely welcome it, because you definitely want to get a different perspective. But I will say this: there was a lot of hesitation at first because they didn't know. They thought that it would be adversarial.
Well, it is going to turn out to be adversarial.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. What I try to do is provide perspective. So if that's your stance, if that's where you're at, well then come on and speak intelligently about it. You should be courageous. I'm not there to vilify them or throw them under the bus, or I may not agree, but if you state your points, state them clearly, and we can keep the gloves on and no one goes below the belt, I welcome it.
There's going to have to be a referee. There's going to have to be a referee.
I don't think we need a referee.
There's a shout out to Sean Hannity to come on and talk about. Let's talk about marijuana laws here.
I don't think we need a referee. If you're lying that bid, if that's the soapbox that you stand on, then live by it and own it, and that's that. But you don't need a referee. Two people can have a discussion, or five people can have a discussion where you have opposing point of views where you can agree to disagree.
But have you ever done that?
Plenty of times, and I absolutely love. Those are some of my best shows.
And that's probably good for ratings, isn't it?
They were actually very comfortable in the end. They were like, "Oh, this wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to be a fight." No, I just wanted to present two sides of the coin, and I'm not. I want you to prove that point. I'm going to ask tough questions because I may learn something from you.
Exactly.
I'm glad you
in some cases, doubtful. But you can learn something from anyone.
Okay, so that goes both ways too, right?
That's right.
So to answer his question, see, it steel sharpens steel. So you don't want everybody that's just on your side. That doesn't strengthen you. You want to hear what your opposition has to say, because you may learn from them, and it can also make you better. So absolutely, you want to hear both sides of the fence. The question is, are both sides willing to come together and talk about it?
Yeah. Well, if we can do that, then we can certainly solve a lot of problems across the world, not just in the U.S.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. That's it. Once again, I'm DJ One Love, Jamel Muhammad from We Act Radio, also host of the Love Lounge radio show. And this is just a snippet of what we do when we talk about a lot of different issues that affect the community and affect the world. And in We Act Radio, our slogan is that truth is our product. So the truth is the truth.
Or as you see it.
Well, hey, it is what it is, and then we have our opinions about it.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
All right, well, I can see you got a lot of sign-ups today.
Yes,
Very attractive people that came by to check you out. And,
Absolutely.
You know, and you guys really make a strong statement when you're here, right? Because you're saying we're part of all of this, right?
Yes, we are.
And this is interracial. This is a complete,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, truth doesn't have a race.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And justice certainly,
You're right, exactly.
unfortunately, injustice sometimes finds its way into certain communities somehow.
But justice does. So yeah, we're all about everybody for the better world. You know, uplifting. This is progressive. And we're a progressive talk radio show and radio station, I should say. And so this is what it's all about. It's about everybody coming together because there's only one Earth. I don't care how many races of people and different sexes and religions. There's still only one Earth on here that we all have to live on together. So that's what we're trying to make everything work together.
Okay, I'm so glad to meet you guys. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for your time. I'm really glad to meet you. I'm really glad to meet you. Yes, it's right there, right there. Okay, so
Popcorn out.
oh, that's okay.
You lost about half
I'll
a
live.
bag.
I'll live.
You lost a few grams.
A few grams. Notice how you put that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yes.